Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Coyote Center on the campus of Chandler-Gilbert Community College at this women's volleyball game featuring you visiting Glendale Community College. Gaucho. Yeah! Chandler-Gilbert Coyotes. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, as you rise, we are able to, and gentlemen, remove your hats. As we honor our country and those who serve with the plain orange. Thank you. Now the starting line is first edition Deltas for Glendale Community College. Freshman number 1, Kylie Malone. Freshman number 5, Macy Gordon. Sorry. Let's start. Starters for this evening. Number 8, Brandy Jenkins. Number 9, Bethany Zamora. Number 18, Bella Reach. Number 17, Brandon Marshall. Number 13, Olivia Moore. Number 15, Lisa Duran. Number 2, Sophia
The Chandler-Gilbert volleyball team has very little room for error. The squad is fighting for its playoff lives as they welcome in number 22 Glendale. It's a must-win for the Coyotes and a big home matchup. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Pequeno alongside Matt McCurdy. And Matt, this Chandler-Gilbert team decimated by injuries, a new lineup essentially every time out on the floor, and Jeff Nelson and his team trying to persevere. As of now, they've dropped to 4-5, fifth place in league, trailing Mesa, who stands at 5-4. They're coming off a tough road loss at Pima, losing 25-16, 25-18, winning the third set 25-18, then dropping the fourth set 25-20. And to make matters worse, in that match, Zaria Hakeem and Alex Johnson collided, and Alex, who is one of the elite setters in this conference, is out with a concussion.
Yeah, I mean, some tragic losses. Here on the home court, we were here for the Scottsdale game, and then out on the road with Pima, like you mentioned. And then to have another injury where players aren't going to be on the court, they're sitting on the sideline watching as their teammates play. It's just hard. It's hard as a coach. It's hard as a team to really feel like you can advance when you're dealing with injuries and having to take that into account. And you know, in the Scottsdale game, Alex kind of came off the court with an injury, not a head injury, but a leg injury. Luckily, she returned, but she's a pivotal piece of the game, and we saw that in that crucial moment. So having her out this game is going to be interesting to watch, and we'll see how they adapt.
Glendale playing oh so well, 6-2, tied for second in the D2 standings. And the D2 standings, it's like a battle of attrition every single night. Pima 7-2, Scottsdale and Glendale tied at 6-2, Mesa 5-4, Chandler-Gilbert 4-5. And this Glendale team playing really well. They've won 4 in a row. The last time they met was in early September. Coyotes won the second and third set on the road and led in the fourth. and cannot put it away, losing in 5. And that's kind of been the story of this team a little bit. Not only being decimated by injuries, Matt, but just having the killer instinct to kind of thrive and be in a position to handle success and put teams away when they've had them on the ropes.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're trying to adapt and figure out the pieces, that obviously leads to some confusion, and we've seen that, right? That inability to close out. They had a great lead in that game here on the home court last time we were here against Scottsdale, and Scottsdale came back and won it. And that's tough to see as a viewer, but it's tough as a team to go through that almost winning and just not being able to finish it out.
Coyotes starting lineup, number 5, Sydney Metcalf, middle hitter. She's been a force. She was suffering a little bit of a neck sprain a couple weeks ago in that home matchup against Pima, so she was limited in that affair. Kaya Crafter plays in the middle as well. Alex Johnson is out. So when we talk about the starters, it's Metcalf, Crafter, Tally Benson, who's going to move more into the setter role. Marissa Morehouse, Tally Koppel, and Shelby Sekalays. And, of course, Brandon McClellan is your libero. On the other side for Glendale, starts with number 19, Brooke Barwa, the OPP. Number 8, Riley Jonke, leads the team with 153 kills. Number 9, Daphne Zamora. Number 18, Bella Reach, who is an outside hitter with 120 kills. Number 13, Olivia Moore, a setter. And number 15, Nissa Turan. And we are underway. And right off the bat, Chandler-Gilbert gets the attack error. Braylon Marshall on the miss hit, and Chandler-Gilbert with the early 1-0 lead. And I think, Matt, for this Chandler-Gilbert team, look, they're short on bodies. And sometimes, in this case, short on bodies and maybe short on patience and temperament. They have to weather the storm and really play a sound match. And talking to Coach, he says, right now, on the attack side, you look at their hitting percentage, over 200, doing well in that category, as that just gets over. And Tally on the outside, and she blisters one, and that's outside as it hit the bar on the outside, so it's a 1-1 affair. Just talked about this team right now on the serve receive, just not good enough right now, and they cripple themselves with errors, as Sophia Cortizio on serve.
Absolutely, and even with this short roster, the short team, this is where they're going to have to lock in, realize that this is the team they're playing with, and feed off each other's chemistry. Find it early, hopefully, and go. Talia Benson in the setter's position for Alex Johnson. She's shown she's capable and has great talent, so it'll be good to see how she thrives in that role.
And that's a little touch in the middle of the floor for Glendale, and they take the lead by the count of 3-2. And Coach Lisa Stuck, who has won a national title on the junior college circuit back in 2014, just says what she likes about this team this year is that everyone buys in. Everyone knows the role. They're very together, unselfish, and she has a very young team as we see the battle ongoing at the net. 8 freshmen on the squad this year, and they are peaking, and they're playing well at the right time as they get the point. But in my conversations with Coach Stuck as well, you look at the top of this conference, Matt, and really it doesn't matter if you finish 4 or 3 or 2 or 1. This region is so good. You just got to get into the show. Mm-hmm. And then it really depends on, as that is blasted from the outside by Bella Reach, and it's a 5-2 Glendale advantage. It really just, the importance is getting to the playoffs, to be in a position to get there. And for Chandler-Gilbert, it doesn't matter if they squeak in at 4, and there's still a lot of time in their schedule. 8 matches left to try to figure it all out, to get healthy. And Tally on the other side blasts the winner. Yeah. So a lot of time, anything can happen. And of course, Glendale has persevered with their own injuries. Talking to Coach Stuck, she feels just kind of like how Coach Nelson alluded to. They've had so many early injuries, people getting sick. They've had to go out there with new lineups all the time, and it's not easy. That's a great serve, and that makes it a 1-point affair. So for Chandler-Gilbert tonight, they're playing on guts, they're playing on heart, and low on bodies, and just trying to figure it out on the home floor, and that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely.
Koppel in the middle of the floor. Glendale Right side attack, blocked at the net, kept alive. And the back row could not keep it alive, so it's a 6-4 Glendale advantage. And it's, as I walked in and seeing Alex not dressed out to play, she kind of told me what happened the other night, and you can only imagine her and Zariah colliding, and basically Alex collided right and hit Zariah right in her face, and she's got a little bit of a black eye going. And so a team that's just had to persevere and battle through not just the up and downs of the court. And let's not forget that this team lost Hallie Gibbons early in the year, and that was a tremendous loss for this team. You know, they lost one of their key pieces to the season as Metcalf with the blast, and it's now 7-5.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see too, Joe. I mean, we've seen time and time again too where teams lose players, they get injured, and they come back stronger. You know, they get hungry, they're eager, and the Coyotes, they've come off some tough losses recently, some big injuries. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they stack up against Glendale here on the home court. And Glendale, you know, you mentioned their injuries, but now they're having a great winning streak. And so, really, anything is possible in this league.
Riley Jonke, one of the leading killers in the conference, stepped into this match with 153 kills. Ranks number 10 overall and just continues to add to it. Coach Nelson and his team, they knew this was going to be a tough affair, and everything has to be on point. Nissa Turan on the serve. Chandler-Gilbert sitting up the outside, and Metcalf with the nice soft touch. And that's the worst part, is that right now is, you know, this Chandler-Gilbert team, fully healthy, all the weapons in place, everything in their utility belts, they're a much better team. And right now they're just playing week to week, game to game to see what they have to work with. Absolutely. And Jonke with a nice touch in the middle of the floor. And that's really an impressive play. So sometimes you get these outside hitters, all they want to go up and just fire up a fastball, right? But Jonke saw the middle of the floor, little soft spot, and Glendale with an early 10-6 lead. And this is a Glendale team that's coming in with momentum, as we mentioned. They've won 4 in a row, playing excellent, and you look at their last 4 victories, and went over South Mountain in 3 sets, over Phoenix College. This, an impressive win. They beat Pima, who leads the conference, and they beat them in 3 sets. And then they knocked off Mesa. So this is a Glendale team that hasn't given up a set here in the last 4 matches. So you look at them on the physicality side, they don't overwhelm you with size, but they play together. Obviously, they receive well, they put the ball in play, they hustle, and they give themselves an opportunity with their setters and their pins, and they do enough in the middle to have a lot of matches going their way. And right now, the results are dominating, winning 4 in a row and not dropping a set. That just shows a lot of mental toughness as well. Our referees for tonight's contest: Doug Kiefer, the second ref; Jim Fleichert, the first ref; Quincy Fleming, the L1; and Christy Giluli, the L2. Say Giluli 5 times fast. And literally, Matt, I had to phonetically spell that out so I'd get that correct. But Christy's always such a gem every time she comes here. It's always a pleasure to see her. So 10-6 Glendale. Of course, they are decked out in the road black. Chandler-Gilbert in the home white and teal. And Doug Kiefer, the second ref, is getting things all in order. Doug is a long-time volleyball coach. He's coached at Saguaro. He's coached now currently at Tempe High. He's ref games in the Pac-12. So you're talking about a well-versed ref. And Sage Salazar That is blasted long. And nothing worse on top of it is everything goes in their way and there's an attack error on the other side. And Koppel can't handle the serve. And right now, Olivia Moore, a freshman from Valley Vista High School, on a little bit of a service error. 12-6. And winning in the middle, Daphne Zamora, also from Valley Vista, 83 kills. Roster with 8 freshmen, a very young team. And they're coached by one of the best in Lisa Stuck. She's done it. She continues to win and has not lost her passion for volleyball whatsoever. St. Galais was going for the soft touch. Clemens, Salazar. Glendale sets it up. And Glendale right in the middle. Zamora off the tip.
And what we're really seeing here at the opening, just kind of from a viewer's perspective, you can see a team, Glendale, that's had 4 great wins, and they got that chemistry. They're coming out hot early, and they're playing well. And the Coyotes trying to find that rhythm, right? Trying to feel out these new positions and players. So,
and that was a big service break for the Coyotes. Sage Salazar coming up big, and Sage has had a good freshman season. 116 kills, 136 digs. Last year at Highland, she had 134 kills and 44 digs. She's a good player, and she's a vocal leader as a freshman. And that's some big-time vocalization on that left side. And it's Riley Jonke, who played at Sandra Day O'Connor, north up the I-51. And it's a 15-7 Glendale lead. Jonke, good serve deep. McClemens, Benson, and Koppel kept alive in the back area just for a split second. 15-8. Crafter checks in. Galais checks out. Kaya from the White Mountains played our high school ball at Sholo. Very good player in her time there. Worked in the middle. Koppel, soft touch, read well by Glendale. Back row attack. Morehouse is there.
Good move.
And excellent read by Benson in the middle of the floor. Saw the open spot, went high and delivered a dart in the middle of the new floor here at Chandler-Gilbert. How about that, Matt? You know, talking to Russ Luce, the athletic director, he was originally going to go for an all-teal court, kind of like sporting that kind of Boise State look. But instead, they opt for the traditional hardwood look, the basketball gray, and a little teal mixed in the background. Good point going back and forth. Koppel. Jonke in the back row. And one in the middle by Zamora.
That was a great rally between both teams, an impressive front row. There's a lot of blocks in that back and forth between these two teams.
Chandler-Gilbert playing on grit. Serving it up, Cortizio. Koppel. Read well by Glendale. Worked in that back row. Koppel this time blocked. And Metcalf with the attack error. Cortizio went to Sunrise Mountain in the West Valley. This Glendale team playing well. Chandler-Gilbert coming off that road loss at Pima. And you look at the record, Matt, as that one drops in. Waylon Marshall, 8-7, and Coach Nelson has to call a timeout. 8-7, but they've been essentially in every match and they've been in positions to win almost every single match. The previous match in Glendale back in September, they were up 2 sets, leading in that 4th set, could have been away.
Yep.
You called the match where they were leading here, Scottsdale, ranked in the top 10, could not put it away. And of course, it's a combination of that grit, that toughness. Also, once again, talked about it, you got a lot of moving parts, people trying to figure it out. Not easy. Volleyball is a game of precision, knowing where someone's going to be, where that pass is coming from, where to set up for that middle block, knowing where your outside hitters are, and just constant movement. And Jeff Nelson doing his best with this season. And I asked him, in your illustrious coaching career, how difficult has this season been? He says it's been right up there, one of the toughest.
Yeah.
The pieces are there. The talent is on the roster. It's just a matter of really having some healthy bodies.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping Chandler-Gilbert, that this conference so tough, and this year all the teams are playing each other 3 times. And talking to Coach Stuck, and I know Coach Nelson probably feels the same, it's too much. It should be a home and away, and give the teams some freedom to potentially bring in some out-of-state competition to help. They play each other so much attrition going back and forth, wins and losses, crippling each other's records, that it really hurts the team when you get to the postseason. And that national tournament is based on not only what you did by getting the playoffs, but they look at your overall record, and you could be a team that's played great, right? You could have a winning record in conference and be left out, and people not understanding how difficult and how great this conference is. I mean, you look at the top 5 teams, and Coach Stuck alluded to this. When they finally get to the postseason, 4 can beat 1,
Right.
2 can beat 3, and there's going to be no gimmies. I mean, last year Scottsdale was a clear-cut favorite. Pima's come out and played very well, and then from top to bottom, we see how good Glendale is as they're closing in on a 1st set victory, and we know how good the Coyotes are when they have the pieces that are healthy. So for the Coyotes, you're hoping they can just kind of weather the storm, get Alex back, get healthy, and maybe scoreboard watch a little bit.
Right.
As that is blasted on the left-hand side by Bella Reach, and win some matches here and there to put themselves in a position to get that 4th spot and have that opportunity come postseason to make some noise.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's very accomplishable, like you're saying. They could get there. They've got the pieces, the talent. But, that's been the sad and tough thing to watch as a viewer. In the Scottsdale game, I think we really saw the chemistry and the pieces coming. They came out early. I've been saying for the past few games, it seemed like they kind of started slow and then heated up. And in that Scottsdale game, really coming out hot, playing really well. And it felt like the pieces were falling in place, and to have more injuries kind of cripple the team, they're going to have to figure that out and hopefully, weather the storm and get to that 4th spot. So,
and we apologize for all our viewers out there as Sydney Metcalf rips a winner. We apologize, technical difficulties. So you're getting the radio version today. So Matt and I, we actually look better with the visual, and the court and the game looks so much better with the visual. But right now you are listening to us. So this is how about the Chandler-Gilbert versus Glendale podcast, essentially, right? It's not what you signed up for. It's not what you were hoping for. I'm hoping that's not how you planned your Friday night, to see a black screen with just some talking voices. But needs to say that's what it is right now. We're trying to work out the kinks as Tally comes out and Taylor Topman comes in, freshman. Played her high school ball at Basha High. Right side, Metcalf. Worked in that back row, and Glendale setting up their attack, and that drops. Riley Jonke drops it.
And there's that change in tempo that Glendale's playing just so smart. Going from strong outside hits to a soft touch and changing it up, making the Coyotes guess and jump for it. And And that's the luxury you have when you've got a team that's been playing well and got a bit of steam under their belt. Coyotes aren't playing that same tempo.
Well, Coach Stuck alluded to the chemistry on this team and how well they work together, and it's showing. It's they're a well-oiled machine, and I say that is because we look at the team. They don't overwhelm you with height, but they overwhelm you with being in the right place and attacking and being in place to have the right angles on just about everything they do. And they anticipate so well.
Right.
And that was blasted for the winner and by Riley Jonke. And first set commandingly goes to Glendale, Matt. And for Chandler-Gilbert, short on bodies, as we've talked about, they've got some work to do to try to make this an interesting affair.
Absolutely. And the communication that last set from the Glendale Gauchos just superb. They're yelling, they're talking, they're not running into each other and hitting balls together. They're in sync, as you were mentioning. So it's gonna be uphill climb for the Coyotes tonight.
We are going to take a short timeout from the Coyote Center. We appreciate the viewers that are dialed in, and we appreciate you hanging with us. More to come. Coyotes look to bounce back in this second set. More from the Coyote Center. The Gauchos and Coyotes on the Coyote Sports Network. You're down. Don't put it up, please. So we're closing in on the second set as we slippery slide right here. Coyotes looking to bounce back from a tough first set, 25-12, and Glendale really brought that A effort. Once again, they are tied for second in the ever so tough D2 region of this conference. And look, it's a war. Pima 7-2, Scottsdale, Glendale 6-2, Mesa 5-4, Chandler-Gilbert 4-5. No gimmies. Glendale's won 4 in a row, and Chandler-Gilbert going through a little bit of a tough time. Around the league tonight, you got Eastern Arizona at Central Arizona. Scottsdale is at South Mountain. Phoenix College is at Mesa, and Arizona Western at Yavapai in the D1 region. It's going to be Riley Jonke on serve. Coyotes, Crafter at the net. Glendale reads it well. They go to the left side attack. And that's a tall, lengthy body in Bella Reach, who had a really good first set, and she continues on in the second set. And when we look at the D2 rankings, this conference is well represented. Of course, the #1 team in the country is Cali County Community College. You've got Scottsdale at 9, Glendale at 22, Mesa, they're at 20, Chandler-Gilbert at 24, and you know, the voters out there, they need to take a look at Pima, and Pima has got a good team, and they're doing great things. So, I mean, Matt, you look at this region, I mean, all 5 teams could be ranked.
Absolutely.
And it's like Coach Stuck once again talked about, there's no reason to play each other 3 times. Home and away, that's it. Free up the schedule, go back to having a Wednesday, Friday, fall schedule, and give them the freedom to heal and maybe have their own tournaments. And we kind of talked about the conference maybe having a potential preseason tournament where some out-of-state teams come in to play, and that way they're not always beating each other up, or you know, or they have the freedom to have a couple teams from out of conference come this way. It just for Coach Stock and Coach Nelson and all the great coaches in this conference, 3-3, it's just all it ends up doing is just crippling them in the postseason and the scheduling, and then you get 1, maybe 2 teams at the most in the postseason, when easily this region, and Coach Stuck alluded to, in 2014, they were a 500 team. They got to the postseason and they took off. And they said, because our region was so tough, had them ready. And same could be said here. Whoever leaves and goes to national tournament from this region is going to be more than prepared for the teams they have to play in our side. So for Chandler-Gilbert, they're trying to find their way as Bella Reach rips that winner. It's a 6-1 Glendale second set. Getting off to a fast start. Cortizio, Topman in the back row. Set up by Talley. Worked on the right side. And a net violation against the Coyotes. 7-1. And a timeout on the floor. And Jeff Nelson having a conversation with Tally Benson, who really, she has to really try to step up. And it's very hard to replace a player like Alex Johnson. And when we talk about Alex, how good she is in the conference, 421 assists. She's one of the leaders in the conference, and now you're asking Tally, who's a great setup artist in her own right, to try to mask that or come close, and sometimes it's such a hard task to fill. And then, of course, that's just one body short in the rotation, Matt. And volleyball is a game of excruciating wear and tear on the body, and you got to have those extra bodies just to rotate and to get a break every now and then. And not having Alex on the floor, a tremendous loss for the team, as well as Ziria tonight, who's not playing as well, or is playing very sparingly.
Well, and CGCC really isn't a large roster team to start with. I mean, they don't have a long bench as it is.
Cortizio on serve. Topman in the back row. Tally, Salazar, and Salazar rips the winner. Ziria coming in, as well as Sinclays. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Right now, you have the volleyball podcast going on. Joe Pequeno, Matt McCurdy on the call. Chandler-Gilbert dropped the first set 25-12. And they are leading, or I should say Glendale is leading the second set as well, 7-3. Hakeem on serve. Zira played our high school ball in the West Valley of Verado. And that is worked in the middle by Nisa Turan. 8-3 Glendale. And this Glendale team, as we allude to, they've won 4 in a row. They have not dropped a set in their last 4 matches. So they are just playing excellent volleyball, doing all the little things right. Set up for Salazar. Saved by Glendale. Now they're setting up their back row attack. Wow, Todman, great save. Delays, Salazar, Sage. Rips a big time winner. And Salazar has been a bright spot for the team this year. A freshman who's come in, provided outstanding play on the court, a vocal leader as well. Metcalf on serve. Jonke in the back row. Beach. And Beach, that's going to be a call against Chandler-Gilbert. Now 9-4 with Bella Reach on serve. Left side, Salazar right into Cortizio. Worked in that middle. And another winner. Nissa Turan. 10-4 Glendale. Good crowd on hand. Of course, plenty of teal, and Cortizio keeps it alive. Left side attack, and Jonke with a missile. And Riley Jonke only one of 4 sophomores on the roster. A freshman-laden team. 8 freshmen. And a miscommunication. And Glendale taking control. Now up 12-4. Reach on serve. Metcalf. Left side, Salazar. Jonke, it goes back to Jonke. Clemens has to just knock it over. Right side attack. Clemens coming up. Talley and Salazar. Cortizio on the other side. They go to Jonke, and that's a combo block by St. Galais and Talley. Checking back in, Morehouse and Koppel. 12-5. Morehouse on serve. Marissa played her high school ball in Torrington, Wyoming. Want to say hi to all the good people in her hometown. Her parents are always dialed in, and we appreciate them tuning us in all the time. As Jonke rips the winner, 13-5.
And this Glendale team is doing a really good job finding the open spots and really reading their court.
And Matt, like we've talked about it. Like they just do everything right. They find like
Right there.
that right there, and you can't see it at home, but that's Daphne Zamora with a cross-court kill and just a wide open spot, and just read the court well.
Mm-hmm.
Saw the blocking scheme that Chandler-Gilbert provided and just found a way to dissect it. So this is a team, athletically, they have a very nice team, but they're playing with such a high IQ right now as well.
Exactly.
And ultimately, you can take teams that are equal in athleticism, but if the other team is thinking, and it just becomes so easy and cerebral where it's just second nature. I'm going to take that other team every single time.
Absolutely. No, you said it great. It really is just a higher volleyball IQ being played right now from Glendale.
Jonke,
Great read.
back row attack. And Glendale with some big-time momentum, leading this second set 16-5. So as we look at the Coyotes schedule, and we kind of talked about the Coyotes, we'll tell you a little about what they're doing per set. Kills, averaging almost 11 kills. The hitting percentage is great. Assists per set, 10. Blocks per set, almost 2. Service aces, I should say, almost 2. Digs per set, 16. But the serve and receive, service errors, they got 95. Reception errors, 103, and that's painful. You know, you can't even get into your offense because you can't receive and get the ball back in play. And Coach Nelson alluded to that. When you look at their schedule coming up, of course, they got Mesa next Wednesday. That's a huge match. Anything could happen to Mesa. Mesa could also all of a sudden fall out. They could be, and you hate to think this, you never wish this on anyone, they could get hit by injuries or be ill at a wrong time. Then they got South Mountain, very winnable match, Phoenix College, and then it really goes through a final gauntlet, the 16th at Scottsdale. Another opportunity against Pima, and you're hoping a little more healthy there. Traveling to Glendale on the 25th, a Wednesday, Friday at Mesa. And look, that's a lot to grind through. And then the end of the season, November 1st, at home against South Mountain.
Yeah. And, you know, if I'm the Coyotes, you know what? Play through this game, develop, learn. You can see it now. They're sitting in the fire right now, really trying to put the pieces together. Pray for good recovery and health, and then just keep building the pieces and play.
Koppel with the outside rip. And we talk about Tally and her season. And she actually leads the conference in kills per set with almost 4. McClemens right in that middle. Right side attack, Jonke. Kept alive by the Coyotes back row. Koppel. And Koppel rips it in the corner.
And we talked about this a little bit off broadcast, Joe, but some of the individual development of the Coyote players, you know, Marissa Morehouse has just been each game improving, and some of her back row passes just awesome. Really a key player. McClemens also another key player, has really kept the team alive in some sticky moments. And so there's some great individual players. It's just keep putting these pieces together now as a team. But the development has been tremendous.
You kind of talk about Marissa as Lisa Stuck will call a timeout for Glendale. Of course, her team still leading by 8. She's taking a second to kind of regroup them mentally a little bit. But Marissa was a young lady who came in last year, and from a small town in Torrington, Wyoming, and she talked about coming here and the level of play just so much more advanced. You got to remember here in Arizona, and we know this, Matt, club circuit, wild, up and down the state.
Right.
Kids can play from Aspire to all these different club teams. So volleyball, just like every other sport, baseball, softball, basketball, club circuit is jam-packed, right? So Marissa comes from a smaller part of the country, Torrington, Wyoming, and felt that maybe last year was a big learning curve for her to get used to the level of play, and she just talked about being blessed being here and learning from these great coaches, and now you can see her improvement in year 2, and she just loves being a fixture and playing volleyball here for Chandler-Gilbert, for Coach Nelson and the rest of the staff. So, yes, there's a lot of learning going on, a lot of teaching, and Marissa is that perfect example of that.
Absolutely, and you really hit on it. You know, Arizona really is a hot spot for 2 things, right? Education, we got lots of schools, lots of opportunities to learn from a lot of different places, and sports. There's lots of great sports, club teams all the way through all ages, and it makes this a really diverse and high competitive region for the conference. And so it's no surprise people want to come here and play.
Olivia Moore dropped that little winner in the middle, and we talk about Glendale a little bit.
Good swing.
As Koppel just continues to put on a second set assault here. Koppel leads the Coyotes in kills with 186 coming in. That ranks 6th in the league. We talked about Alex Johnson. She was ranked 3rd with 421 assists. So think about that, those numbers, not having her here tonight. And that is out. So the Coyotes are drawing closer. Glendale outside hitter. Riley Jonke, ranked 10th with 153 kills. Setter Olivia Moore, ranked 2nd with 450 assists. Of course, Glendale coming in, playing well. Coyotes playing much better in this second set as Metcalf tries to rip one in the back row. Jonke on the other side, and Jonke is denied by Metcalf and Benson. So the Coyotes in a nice little run here.
And see, Joe, this is something I hope, you know, we talked a little bit from the past games, the Coyotes not able to quite close out the game and really take the win. And sometimes this type of situation is that pressure cooker you need to really get that killer instinct from a team. And I hope this is a good time where they develop and learning and kind of get that killer instinct and get a little fire under them to go, you know what, we want to come in here, we're going to win.
Yeah, that's the big thing right now, is that ultimately when you're a team that's been decimated by injuries, your will has got to be stronger than anything on the court. It has to be a collective surge by the team to instinctively say that we will find a way no matter what. And we're seeing this Coyotes team right here in this second set. They've pulled within 4. And now they have pulled within 3. So they're on a very nice service run. They've won 5 straight points to pull within 3. Talley rips it across on the serve. Jonke, and Jonke blocked by Metcalf and Crafter. 17-15. Checking out for Glendale. Macy Gardner back in Zamora. Benson on the serve. Set up on the right side. Zamora. Now it's McClemens. Koppel fires it. And the Coyotes have pulled within 1. One time down 17-9. All of a sudden, they have found fire and life.
And I'm not sure what the conversation was in their last time out, but I really love that they've come out. They're playing big on the net. They're putting their hands up. They're blocking. Just a couple plays earlier, playing a little timid, playing small, weren't getting the timing down, but they're finding that rhythm, and they're playing aggressive. And that's what they need to be doing in this game. Attack, attack, attack.
Well, the big thing, too, and you're absolutely right. Look, you got nothing to lose. I mean, you're on home court. There's also the pride factor of last thing you want is a team coming in your gym and sweeping you in 3.
Exactly.
And the way it looked early as that goes out on the mishit by Metcalf, that's what it was trending like after that first set. Coyotes lost 25-12, and we're down 17-9. It was trending there, and all of a sudden things started going in the Coyotes' direction. Working well, winning some points at the net. Koppel catching fire. And Koppel with the winner, not at 18.
And this is also where we kind of start to see the team leaders come out. You know, Alex Johnson, a clear leader on the court. She's injured, not able to be out there leading the team. She's helping from the sidelines, encouraging her team right there, getting up for her teammate come to the sideline and cheering them on. But now we're seeing who's going to rise to the occasion and really help the team in those tough spots where there's a lull.
And the Coyotes, as we mentioned, the schedule. Next week they got Mesa. And Mesa's a team that the Coyotes, in the course of time, have played very well against. And when we look at their previous match against Mesa, They won at Mesa earlier this year in 5 sets.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have them again next Wednesday. And Mesa's a team that all of a sudden, as we alluded to, they can pick up a loss here or there, not come mentally ready to play, and all of a sudden find themselves on the outskirts.
Mm-hmm.
They are currently in the 4th spot, and once again, we talk about the division standings. Pima 7-2, Scottsdale and Glendale both 6-2, Mesa 5-4, and it's a tremendous slap in the face to Pima, who's off to this great start, a resurgence to the program, not even ranked in the top 25. It's almost like the voters are so locked in on their 25 and refusing to see outside that glass of water they're currently drinking. Koppel on serve. Worked in the middle, Zamora. Koppel is there. Talley sets up Salazar. Salazar is blocked. Salazar again. Reach kept alive by the Coyotes. A little block party at the net. And Metcalf couldn't come up with it. Now 19-18. Cortizio on serve. Topman in the back row. Crafter blocked. Net violation against the Coyotes. Now 20-18. Coyotes need to stop here. They need to service out to get back on serve. Topman, McClemens, Salazar rips it over. Glendale. And Nissa Turan in the middle with a big hit. 21-18. Now all of a sudden Glendale has recalibrated their team. Rolling off the last 3 points. Cortizio. And serves up a drop ball that had all kinds of spin and just fell in front of Taylor Topman. 22-19. Coyotes get it over on Crafter. Bumped in that middle. And Glendale, once again, perfect placement. And correction on the score, now 23-18 as Koppel comes back in. Koppel in the back row. Last year, she played mostly outside. This year, having the opportunity to show what she can do in the back. And the Coyotes. And now it's set point. This one was tied at 18 after the Coyotes trailed 17-9, and Glendale has rolled off the last 5 points. Clemens. Salazar kept alive by Glendale. Metcalf, and Metcalf powers it home. And now the Coyotes need a big service run, as Syria Hakeem is probably going to be doing the service honors. And Hakeem, good serve into Jonke in the back row. Worked in that middle by Glendale. And just like that, going up top and putting it home is Bella Reach. And Glendale got tested in that second set, but go on to win 25-19. Coyotes down 2-0. We'll take a short timeout from the Coyote Center. Quincy, would you like some watermelon?
I couldn't take that from you. I could, but not tonight. You put the concerts on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Big thing too is, we get a little rhythm under our belt, but we don't, you can see it there. One mistake made and communication just goes down.
Oh no, they're great. I mean, you don't make a lot of errors. They anticipate well. They don't. They're everywhere. They play clean.
Yeah.
I mean, they like.
I used to be like fine, like high school football practice. I go out there like 30 late October.
Yeah.
And then now like it's like 6 p.m.
I agree.
Yeah. And I want to see.
I have to have long.
Look, in 3, right?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
And Scottsdale was good, but really a lot of talent. Like a lot of talent in Scottsdale, but not the same. They're just a lot further in their style. Not necessarily the most talented, but execution solid.
Solid.
Because Scottsdale's got decent execution, but good talent. So it's a little bit of a
Sometimes like long sleeves just feel like all the time.
So we are about to begin the third set from the Coyote Center. Jeff Nelson's team down ample bodies. Of course, they lost Hallie Gibbons early in the season. Blew out her knee. Alex Johnson is out with a concussion. Sydney Metcalf missed part of that Pima home match with a strained neck. Zaria Akeem is playing limited because of colliding into Alex Johnson and the loss at Pima. Alex suffered a concussion and Zaria shook up. So the team out. Some major bodies as they take on this Glendale team that's getting better all the time. They are ranked number 22 in the country, and they've won 4 in a row. And when we talk about those 4 wins, a 3-0 win over Pima. Pima, of course, leads the conference, and Pima won that in 3. And you look at that box score, Glendale beat Pima 25-13. Huge second set, 29-27. That was a war. And then third set, they won 25-20. So 4 matches in a row, and they refused to give up a set. McClemens. And a change on the court for the Coyotes as Marissa Morehouse is going to libero. So Marissa will be doing the bulk of digging out on the service when Glendale's in that position.
great blocks.
Jeff Nelson right now just trying to find some combinations with the personnel he has. Coyotes played much better in that second set.
Yeah.
One time it was 18-all and a winner by Tally Benson. And it's an early 2-0 Coyotes lead. We appreciate you hanging with us. We are having technical difficulties, so right now it's strictly the radio version as Bella Reach, who's played a really good match, and Bella Reach is from Cactus Shadows, 6'1" sophomore. Only 4 sophomores on this team. The rest, freshmen. So the future for Lisa Stuck and her Glendale team is very bright.
Great swing from
Back row attack by Jonke, Metcalf in that back row. And Talley slices right through Olivia Moore. And 3-1 Coyotes lead as Crafter comes back in. St. Calais checks out. Marissa Morehouse on serve, the sophomore. Right into Cortezio. Glendale with almost a miscommunication on the back row. Koppel, soft touch, kept alive by Moore. Cortezio, ripped across. And once again.
And you can see Coach Nelson, he's trying and changing things up and adapting. Marissa Morehouse now rocking the libero jersey as a switch up over the two. So they're trying things. They're trying to see what's going to work, how they can adapt the play. And that's exactly what he said he was going to have to do tonight.
Katie Penrod on serve from Snowflake High School up in the White Mountains. And Talley ripping a winner. Talley Koppel, one of the leading attackers in the conference. A bright volleyball future awaits her after her days of suiting up here for Chandler-Gilbert. And that is long. A 5-2 Coyotes lead. Coyotes were down 17-9 in that second set. Rallied to make it 18-all and eventually falling 25-19. So an uphill battle as Bella Reach reaching out and providing some thunder for Glendale Community College. The Gauchos playing with a purpose.
And we were talking about this, Joe, but the Gauchos, it's rare, at least in this game, and I think many of the games that you watch, to see them go through a large gap or a big disparity in points. They're very quick on the autocorrect, right? A mistake is made, they drop a ball. The next set, they're right back at it, and they're quick to make the correction.
And when we look at these two teams, they're led by two of the best coaches in the conference. Of course, Jeff Nelson has coached on the D1 level, coached at New Mexico, coached at Minnesota, coached for Arizona State. And for Lisa Stuck, an impressive resume. Inducted into the NJCAA National Coaches Hall of Fame. Won the national championship in 2014. A 6-time Conference Coach of the Year. Hall of Fame at Arizona State. Member of the USA Volleyball National Team. So Coach Stuck has always put a winning combination on the floor as Glendale wins another point. Region 1 champs, 97, 98, 99, 2002, 2009, 2010, 13, 14, and 15. And we've got a short timeout on the floor as Talley Koppel is being attended to. A 7-5 Glendale advantage. And Talley's got her nose situated. Young lady, such a...
And here's the thing, too. The Cavs need to be careful of injuries. They're already short players, and even though they want to win and they want to play hard, you got to be careful not to put yourself in a dangerous situation. And that's where communicating as a team, too, is so crucial. Make sure you're not tripping over each other. You're not diving on top of one another.
Communication. So paramount for a team that is lacking so many bodies and so many things on the health status of this team has gone wrong throughout the course of this year. Net violation, and it's going to be an 8-5 Glendale advantage. Glendale bringing their fans from the I-17 corridor. Reach, good looking player. Good hard serve, and Reach played her high school ball at Cactus Shadows. Very athletic, tall, 6'1", good reach. Clements, Metcalf bump over. Moore tried to do the quick hitter. Metcalf the other way, and that's out. And Jeff Nelson will call a timeout.
This is a good spot for Coach Nelson to call it. You can see the rhythm getting off. The ball wasn't really finding its way to a good spot where they could attack the court with any real strategy or plan. It was just kind of floating in the air, and that's when you get violations where it bangs into the pole or it just kind of wobbles up in the air. So there's a good chance for him to pull back, get him reset, and we've seen when he does that, they have a good little run, and so it's a good smart moment for Coach Nelson.
And for Coach Nelson, talk about a trying season.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in, and it's been one thing after another with the team, health-wise. And, you know, coaching any sport or being successful in any occupation requires discipline, rhythm, a determination to follow the game script of success. And right now, a coach that has been as good as any in the conference the last 3 years, he's had to try to figure out his own secret sauce for the season. And he's trying to figure it out as he goes too. And now, as we've seen with Morehouse with the libero jersey on, and the team playing on, and Bella Reach, who's had an outstanding match, rips it.
And the thing too, you know, we talked about Alex Johnson with the concussion, but Allie Gibbons early on blowing out her knee and losing her season here. And those are two sophomores. Those are older girls who've been here and played a little longer than the freshmen. Those are leaders on the team typically. And when you lose key players who also are a little bit older, had a little more experience, that can be detrimental.
11-6. Glendale has won the first 2 sets. 25-12 and 25-19. St. Calais and Zuri Hakeem coming in. Ziria, a serving force for the team. Moore sets up Jonke. And Jonke with the rip wide. And honestly, Matt, we haven't really seen a lot of attack errors by Glendale. And that was like a rare one where Jonke had the whole other side of the court and just ripped along.
Absolutely, yeah. Their spot placement on the court has been outstanding tonight. They've really found their mark.
That time, Jonke goes to the softer side. Moore setting up the back row. Reach. And she blasts that one into Apache Junction. So now 11-9. Syria on a nice little service run. Gardner in the middle. Moore.
Good swing.
Zamora try to go cross court. Capo back row. Back row attacking error. So glad you can join us on this Friday night from the Coyote Center. Matt McCurdy, Joe Pequain on the call. We appreciate you listening to us. Usually you could see us and watch the action. But sometimes the forces of technology is just not on your side and you just got to go with it. Metcalf blocked. Morehouse setting it back up. Metcalf another chance, and that should drop. And they rule that out. That was very close. 13-9.
And Glendale, just there with that block again. They've been really good on the net with getting their hands up and right there again, right at the block, which you mentioned they're not a really tall team or excessively height gifted or anything like that, but they're up there, they're blocking, and I've been really impressed by their action on the net.
Very fluid on the court, very instinctive, and fundamentally sound. And then you throw in the IQ factor, which is probably as good as any you'll see in the conference, or maybe as good in the nation. And currently ranked number 22 in the country. And when it's all said and done, they won't finish 22.
Yeah.
And in this 4-game winning streak, they beat Pima in 3 sets. Pima leads the conference. They beat Mesa in 3 sets. So we're talking about a team getting better in the course of the season. The Sage blasts a winner from that left side. Coyotes fighting. Doing the best they can with what they have. Metcalf on serve. 3 aces on the year to her credit. Jonke, little floater. Talk about the changeup. Little off speed, and that just drops in. 14-12. Coyotes trying to force a 4th set. So glad you could spend your Friday night with us from the Coyote Center. Jonke in that middle.
Great spot.
And Glaze with the winner. Clemens checking back in. Of course, basketball season is just right around the corner. Of course, we'll have the action when the women and the men tip off. That was a laser by Braylon Marshall on the outside. Soccer schedule for the women, coming off the tough 2-1 loss at Mesa. Next Tuesday, they're at Pima Community College, and they're back at it Saturday at home. It was originally scheduled to be Saturday, October 5th against South Mount, but South Mount has an influx of 1 minute we're playing soccer, 1 minute we're not, and then so it's basically they're at Pima on October 1st, at PV October 8th, and return home and take on Scottsdale on the 12th. Good push by Talley in the back row. On the men's side. And you want to talk about a team that hasn't had the results, but it's light years better as Hector Brasinio and the men's soccer team. They are 0-9, but they have played hard. They've been in every match, and they have taken a giant step forward. And the thing about them, Matt, is they play in such a hard conference. Phoenix College, always ranked in the top 5. Pima, Dave Cosgrove, the head coach. They've got a good team. Glendale, rock solid. Scottsdale, getting better. We got a timeout on the floor. Coyotes have pulled within 1. So as we look at the men, they're coming off a 4-1 loss at Mesa. Next Tuesday, they're at Pima. And a week from tomorrow, they'll host South Mountain. And we did the game a couple weeks ago when they hosted Gateway. And Matt, they had a 2-0 lead with about 15 minutes left, and it all fell apart. And it was heartbreaking for the men because they were working so hard. And there was a lot of frustration by the team that night. Midfielder Mikkel Falkenstrom, you could feel the tension coming from him and the disappointment. But that all leads to the will to win. And at some point, this soccer team that has taken so many hard losses this year, whereas last year, look, they were an afterthought. This year's not the case. every match they're battling and they're playing hard and they're making everyone work. Just got to think. Coach Brasinio gets a couple pieces here and there. They start winning in arguably the toughest region in the country.
Yeah.
16-15. Morehouse on serve. Moore sets up. Crafter. Good work in the middle. We're tied at 16. $16 as the Coyotes try to push this to a 4-set. Morehouse. And that is long. And just when the Coyotes get some momentum, got to be able to capitalize on the service game.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just these little mistakes throughout the game, losing the momentum and giving it back to the Gauchos to take the lead.
And Clemens in the back row. Tracked down by Talley, and then Talley Koppel. And we're even again at 17.
Credit to Talley Koppel in these last few sets. She's really come alive in the second and third match here and put down some really good balls.
Talley Koppel is a player and a great serve by Morehouse, and the Coyotes take the lead. 18-17. Talley Koppel on the volleyball court can be as good as she wants to be. It really comes down to having that next level. I just want to go on. I'm going to dominate you.
Absolutely.
And when Talley has that kind of mindset, she's usually the best player on the court every time out. And I'm not saying she doesn't have that all the time. It just sometimes she has to have the ability to harness that just a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And just like I said, Matt, we're not at 18 all over again.
Yeah. Well, and you make a good point. You know, this is the JUCO level. This is these players are developing and learning, and this is a competitive area to develop and learn, and so they're learning how to harness that ability that's within them.
And Glendale wins the point as that goes out of bounds. 19-18. Of course, next week, Matt and I will be here for the Mason matchup. That's a big one. I'd like to think Alex will be back. Some of the Coyotes players will be back at full strength. And the Coyotes will reharness, recalibrate as there's a timeout in the floor.
And the Gauchos, you know, one thing we see a lot in these games where maybe a team has a two-game lead, they kind of loosen up in that third match, right, where they can really close it out. They loosen up, let a few balls slip, let the other team take the lead. But the Gauchos have stayed consistent, and you can tell even in this match, they're staying right there, staying on pace, staying calm and collected, and trying to close us out in a three-match sweep.
Yeah. Coach Stuck, in our conversation before the match, and Lisa Stuck is as friendly and as congenial as you'll find in any coach in this conference. Always takes the time to talk about her team and very humble in talking about herself. Always a pleasure and a credit to women's volleyball. Just talked about the chemistry with this team. And of course, they've had adversity as well, Matt. Look, every team in this conference has had their share of injuries, and let's not just talk about injuries, but of course, in some cases, grades might be a factor as well,
right,
for some players. And in her case, her team has just dealt with their share of injuries and illnesses, and they've managed to persevere through and continue to find winning combinations. And here they are, riding a 4-game skid as Crafter can't connect at the net.
And you make a great point. You know, I think some of it is about where are you in that process of growth as a team. You know, Coyotes taking some hefty injuries, and they just had an injury, right? Last game, big injury. So they're having to adapt on the spot. Glendale, early injuries, but it feels like they found their mark, their pieces, their rhythm, and they're having that upward trajectory from there.
22-18, Glendale with Bella Reach can win this on serve. Reach into McClemens. Koppel.
Good swing.
And Koppel fires it up, and Gardner can't handle it. (22-19).
So right here is where the Coyotes have to walk in. Can't let any easy points go away. Great spot.
Great save by Glendale. And that tickles the twine and gets over. And when things are going well, like they are for Glendale, you get those kind of points.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Coyotes, all you can do is shake your head and try to focus on the next point.
Yeah. You make a great point. You know, you point out they're really locked in. They're kind of finding that flow. And even the things that maybe seem like luck, you know, they put the right spin on the ball, really put it there, make good saves that are challenging. So Glendale's locked in.
So Doug Kiefer, second ref, said Glendale was out of service position. And Doug is a man who's got numerous volleyball skills in calling matches and coaching. Blocked at the net. Zamora. And now it's set at match point. Braylon Marshall comes in. And coming in, Olivia Moore. And Glendale a point away as their fans who made the trek from Glendale rooting them on. You can hear them. Morehouse in the back row. Benson. Salazar. Cortezio. Clapped alive by Glendale, and Cortezio with some tough treading in the back row. 24-21. So Metcalf has got to be dynamic on serve. The big thing is make sure every serve is across that net. First one. That will do it. It goes out, and Glendale wins in 3 sets. First set, 25-12. Second set, 25-19. And the third set, 25-21. And Matt, as we recap this one, what comes to mind for the Coyotes in a very tough matchup without key personnel and trying to weather the storm against a Glendale team that ranked number 22, now has won 4 in a row, make that 5 in a row, and they haven't dropped a set in that run. What sticks out to you in this match?
Yeah, I mean, Glendale, you have to give them their roses. Played great. They've got tremendous IQ. I think they're a top-tier team in this conference, or even in the nationals. I mean, they're just a great team all around. We talked about it's not necessarily talent, but it's just great playing. They execute well. The Coyotes, you can tell they're dragging, trying to find the rhythm, and I feel for them because I really do feel like they started to feel that upward trajectory. We saw pieces come together, but the injuries are a killer, and now they're adapting. Coach Nelson, I have full confidence in him. He's going to find what's working. We saw the pieces start to come together, and even this last match, it was close, but you know they just got to find their mark and really close it out. So it's not over for them. It's anyone's game still this season, but just great execution from Glendale. I'm excited to see where they go in the future games. And the Coyotes, they're still in this. They just got to put the pieces together.
Coyotes with 8 matches left. They dropped to 8-8, now 4-6 in conference. A big match next week against Mesa. You got to figure Alex Johnson, God willing, of course, will pass concussion protocol. Zuri Hakim will also be back, and this team will start nurturing and resting itself back into good shape. They'll have the weekend to recoup and get back at it this weekend, and of course on Monday, and then take on Mesa in a hard-fought match on Wednesday. As I reflect on the Coyotes, I think Jeff Nelson is doing the best with what he has. He's got players out of position. We saw Marissa Morehouse take on the libero jersey later in this match, and right now he's trying to find answers. He's trying to find parts that weren't supposed to be in certain places to start the season, trying to put those square pegs in those round holes and just trying to make things work, and he's doing the best. And for this Glendale team, I see a very calculated team, high IQ, in the right place at the right time. And Matt, I want to throw this at you because you had the opportunity to see Scottsdale play. Scottsdale won a hard-fought 5-set match here just a short time back. And Glendale, Scottsdale, who is the best team? I saw Pima. I saw Glendale. So, and you've seen Pima as well. So if you had to say right now the best team you've seen in this conference, who would that be?
If Glendale plays like they play tonight, and they've been playing clearly these past few games, I think they will take the leading spot and beat out Scottsdale and Pima. They just beat out Pima, as we saw that. So they clearly are a team that can compete at that level and play hard and execute. Scottsdale's a talented team. They've got some great players, and they've got height, they've got skill, but they make mistakes sometimes, and talent's not going to carry you all the way always. They got a good execution as well, but Glendale is a solidly built team. I think they've got a great coach. So I take Glendale in some of those matches if they play like they're playing tonight, if they keep the streak going. So there'll be tight games. There'll be tough games, hard fought. Scottsdale and Glendale will be a fun one to watch, but yeah, I think Glendale's got a great IQ for the sport right now.
Yeah, Coach Lisa Stuck and her team surging, playing so well. Now 5 straight wins, all 3-set victories. So impressive for Coach Nelson and his staff. Just they have to get healthy and give their team an opportunity to try to figure it out with a healthy squad moving forward, and they're have the weekend to recoup and be back at it next week as they host Mesa on Wednesday. And of course, Matt and I will be back on the call for that match. We appreciate you dialing us up on the Chandler-Gilbert Sports Network. For Russ Luce and the athletic department, to all the great alumni, all these great students that we are so privileged and humbled and honored to cover here at Chandler-Gilbert, for Coach Nelson and his great team. Walking wounded, they're playing and they're giving 150%. Don't even doubt that whatsoever. They are out there battling and doing their best with what they have to work with. For Matt McCurdy, I'm Joe Pequeno. This has been a presentation of Chandler-Gilbert Athletics.